hours before the president touched down in South Florida.
A driver leads officers on a chase, prompting Secret Service agents to open fire. And tonight, we're learning more about the woman behind the wheel and now under arrest.
Local 10 News reporter Roy Ramos is in West Palm Beach with the developing details.
Investigators saying this was not terrorist related, but at the time, law enforcement did not know that. Now, fortunately, the president was not here at this Mar-A-Lago resort, but his Secret Service agents were already in place. That's when they say a driver went right through their security checkpoints. President Trump arriving to Mar-A-Lago just hours after a dramatic chase that forced Palm Beach County Sheriff deputies and Secret Service agents to open fire on this SUV after they say the driver sped right past two security checkpoints bordering the resort.
The deputies and the Secret Service agents that were there moved out of the way just in time.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw said it all started just before noon at the Breakers Hotel just north of Mar-A-Lago.
The Florida Highway Patrol, who's working a security job at the Breakers, was notified by security that they had a white female that was acting irrationally. It was actually up on top of her car doing some kind of dance.
Investigators said when the sergeant with FHP approached the vehicle, 31-year-old Hannah Roehmild got back inside and put the rental SUV in drive.
He actually smashed the window out to try to grab the steering wheel, but it didn't work. He was able to get his arm out, and she drove off.
As that trooper got back into his cruiser and chased her down, he said she barreled right through two security checkpoints and took off even after being shot at by law enforcement, unaware of her intentions.
We didn't know if there was somebody with a car bomb. We didn't know if somebody was there to try to hit as many pedestrians as possible.
Somehow, Roehmild wasn't hit by the gunfire, heading south on Ocean Boulevard, west on Southern, then losing law enforcement. Minutes later, she was spotted by a license plate reader heading to this Studio 6 motel near West Palm Beach, where we watched as she was taken into custody.
The driver jumped out and was trying to flee to a room. The trooper did a great job, tackled her, and took her into custody there.
And investigators telling us that at the time Roehmild was taken into custody, there was also another woman inside of that vehicle. Now, they believe that she may have picked her up after she was able to get away from state troopers. As for the charges that Roehmild is now facing, at the very least, she will be charged with using her vehicle as a weapon. We will continue to follow this story as more information comes our way. We'll let you know. For now, here in West Palm Beach, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Developments out of Palm Beach County following a chase that resulted in a security breach at President Trump's Mar-A-Lago resort. Shots were fired at one point in the pursuit. One woman was taken into custody when it was all over.
Police say it all began with reports of a woman acting erratically and dancing on top of an SUV. CBS 4's Ty Russell is live near Mar-A-Lago with more on what else they say happened. Ty.
Well, Ruta Van Elliott, I should also note that we are standing out in the rain because we are waiting on the president's motorcade to pass through this road here on his way to Mar-A-Lago. In the meantime, investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what led a woman to drive through two security checkpoints.
President Trump is back in Palm Beach County. He is spending Super Bowl weekend at his Mar-A-Lago resort. But hours before, the president was back in Florida.
We're going to fire when our lives are in danger and the danger of the public. And that's exactly what happened.
Palm Beach Sheriff Rick Bradshaw says his deputies and Secret Service, while at a security checkpoint near the president's resort, fired shots at this black SUV around 11:30 Friday morning.
This is not a terrorist thing. This is somebody that obviously was impaired somehow and is driving very recklessly and endangering not only the public, but the law enforcement officers that are there.
The sheriff says this started at well-known The Breakers Hotel.
It was actually up on top of her car doing some kind of dance.
And a trooper approached 30-year-old Hannah Roehmild, who was in a rented SUV.
She looked like she was going to put it in drive. He actually smashed the window out to try to grab the steering wheel, but it didn't work.
The sheriff says the woman then took off at speeds of about 70 miles an hour and crashed through two security checkpoints. Even after law enforcement fired at her, she kept going. Troopers lost sight of her, but they kept searching.
We didn't know if there was somebody with a car bomb. We didn't know if somebody was there to try to hit as many pedestrians as possible, because we all know we've seen it all over the place.
A license plate reader brought deputies to a motel close to the county's airport. That's where she was captured. Deputies believe she even picked up a passenger along the way. Now, local and federal officials are trying to narrow down why this all happened.
We will not be speculating in regards to the suspect's motives or intentions or the circumstances around the incident.
Again, I want to repeat that the president was not in this area when that security breach happened. Meantime, that woman is in custody. We're still working to learn her charges, and we looked through her records, and so far, she does not have a rap sheet here in Florida. We are live near Mar-A-Lago. I'm Ty Russell, CBS 4.
Bullets fly and the driver is arrested, accused of crashing through 2 checkpoints near Mar-A-Lago.
A dangerous situation that not only is triggering a lot of questions, but it also triggered a major law enforcement response. And WPTV News Channel 5's Todd Wilson joins us with the latest.
In a press conference earlier this afternoon, Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw said he didn't think this was terrorism. Instead, he thought it was someone driving very recklessly.
I saw them bring out a white lady from upstairs and she came down. They brought her down and she got arrested. I guess, I don't know if it was her mom or who it was. It was an older lady who started hitting the cops because they were taking her, and she also got arrested.
This woman says she just walked out of work when she saw all of this.
They went back up. I don't know if they arrested someone else that they saw up there, but I just heard them yell, "Put your hands up."
30-year-old Hannah Roehmild was handcuffed, put in the back of a Palm Beach squad car, and ultimately arrested. Her journey started before noon when a state trooper responded to a call about a person outside the Breakers Hotel. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw says Roehmild was seen dancing on her vehicle, and when the trooper tried to speak with her, things escalated.
When she looked like she was going to put it in drive, he actually smashed the window out to try to grab the steering wheel, but it didn't work.
Bradshaw says the woman took off and ended up driving towards Mar-A-Lago, where she crashed through the first checkpoint. She then alleged to have driven through a second checkpoint where there's deputies and Secret Service.
The security people that were there, the deputies and the Secret Service, opened fire on the vehicle. The vehicle kept going south.
Bradshaw believes Roehmild actually picked up another woman along the way. He says a license plate reader alerted them that the SUV was over by the airport. The state trooper found the driver near a motel.
The driver jumped out and was trying to flee to a room. The trooper did a great job, tackled her, and took her into custody.
The charges that Roehmild is going to face include assault on a federal officer, deadly assault on sheriff's deputies, but also traffic violations that the Florida Highway Patrol is going to enforce. In Palm Beach County, Todd Wilson, WPTV News Channel.
And luckily, no one was injured throughout this incident, but police say her erratic driving put many people's lives at risk. I spoke to 2 neighbors in Middletown who knew her, and they tell me this is not the woman they remember her by. 11:30 a.m., a Florida highway patrolman spots 30-year-old Hannah Roehmild dancing on top of her rental car. He then approaches her in her car.
He kept trying to get her to respond. She tried to put the vehicle in reverse, at which time he kept tapping on the window. When she looked like she was going to put it in drive, he actually smashed the window out to try to grab the steering wheel.
Police say Roehmild stepped on the gas and led police on a chase, blowing through 2 checkpoints leading up to the Mar-A-Lago and driving on the wrong side of the road. Shots were fired at her car, but she kept going. When Roehmild tried to run to a motel room, police were able to tackle her down and arrest her. But they say another woman was also inside that car with her, who they believe was picked up by Roehmild along the way. The identity of the woman still being investigated. Roehmild just so happens to be a locally well-known opera singer in Connecticut. Her neighbors in Middletown telling Fox 61 about Roehmild's past behavior they witnessed.
She had a little bit of like a breakdown and she was crying and screaming and she got taken out by the cops, and then I think she came back a little while after.
Another neighbor, Kathy Russo, says she used to be close to Roehmild until the day Roehmild asked if pictures can be taken of her.
She started laying on the ground and running around and pulling her hair back, and and I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "I want to be a mermaid."
Roehmild has not yet been interviewed, but police do believe Roehmild was impaired. Sheriff Bradshaw also added there will be search warrants for the rental car she was driving, as well as the motel room she tried to flee into. A joint investigation conducted by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and the Secret Service. Carmen Chow, Fox 61 News.